watching Project Lifesize. I am back, kind of. My cousin was getting married, and so I flew down to Miami, and a wedding didn't exactly happen. Possibly the groom got punched by my cousin's brother, and possibly the groom was on alcohol, possibly cocaine. And apparently you can get kicked off of Carnival cruises, you know, if you threaten suicide and you're bumming drinks off of other guests. It was not relaxing. I would not refer to it as relaxing. It was nice to get away from the internet. It was nice to just read. I actually read a book that a friend of mine suggested before I left, which is Outlander, and I don't know how I feel about this book. It was like it was romance cloaked in fake sci-fi, like, oh, she time travel, and then just like endless sort of uncomfortable semi-erotic sexual scenes. It was weird. And then I started reading this book, which is Blood-Sucking Fiends by Christopher Moore. I'm not as into it as Lamb, which is another book of his that I really, really enjoyed. But, oh, and when I got home, I found this in my mailbox. Sims 3. I haven't played Sims since I was like 12, so yesterday, instead of doing anything I was supposed to do, I just sat and played, and I made them have sex as often as I could, and they had like 6 kids, and 4 of them ended up getting taken by a social worker, because I didn't realize how impossible it is to have like 4 toddlers all crying and screaming and hungry when you're trying to have 2 parents working. And so I basically made the teenage daughter take care of the children, and I locked her in a room with them. Before this year, I'd never traveled alone on a plane, and this year I've probably done it 5 times, 4 or 5 times, something like that. And so I've become used to it, and you know, whatever. And I think one of the biggest worries for us big girls is the seatbelt going to fit? Because you're like, if that seatbelt fits, I'm golden, but if it doesn't, I'm screwed. There are certain ways you can get around it. Like if you wear a big sweater and it doesn't fit, usually I get it to fit. I'll squeeze myself within an inch of my life to get it to fit. But you can like put it over one leg, like whatever leg is closest to the stewardess, the flight attendant. I don't think that's PC. Put it over that one thigh and then like cover it with a sweater, and then it looks like you're wearing a seatbelt, and they don't know, because I was always scared that they would like check or something. And I feel like when I was younger, they would always be like, oh, you have your seatbelt on, and they'd be very thorough about it. Now they don't really care. And you could also be very ballsy and just not put it on and just wear the big sweater and hope that no one looks at your general stomach region. I saw that Kevin Smith, the director of Clerks and Chasing Amy and a million other movies, actually had an issue with Northwest, I think this past week or so. The story is like he got to the airport early and he was going to do standby, and so he went up to the counter and he was like, you know, if there's an available seat on this plane, blah, blah, blah. And they said, yes, but you bought 2 seats. You know, like, we don't have 2 seats for you, because he's a bigger guy. And he's like, no, I only buy 2 seats because I'm antisocial and I don't like to talk to anyone, but I can fit in 1 seat. So they gave it to him. He got in the plane. He sat down. He was about to buckle his seatbelt. And apparently, like, the NWA officials came on and escorted him off and told him he was a flight risk and he was a danger and whatever. And I think they made him they're like, well, we have to see if we have to see if the armrest goes down, because apparently that's part of the procedure, is like if the armrest goes down and the seatbelt goes, you know, clasps, then you're good. And apparently it did, and the seatbelt clasped, and they still took him off the plane. And after, because people had such a fit on Twitter and whatever, because he, you know, gave the story out, I think Northwest ended up apologizing and like putting him on another flight, something like that. So a story I just read was about, there was a man, I'll link it in the sidebar, a man who actually missed a family member's funeral, because they told him he had to buy an extra seat, and that there was no extra seat, and there was no available flight, and so on, even though I'm not entirely sure if he fit with the belt clasped and the thing down. So I'm interested to hear some of your stories, if this has ever happened to you, your thoughts in the comment section below on if it was fair, if it was justified. I sat next to someone on the plane ride home who took up both armrests, was reading a newspaper, not a big guy. I was very uncomfortable because I was like off to the side against the window, trying not to touch him, and he just had complete control over the armrests. So it's a lie that we take up all this space. Sometimes it's just assholes that, you know, feel the need to splay themselves across the freaking seat.